someone mentioned Alpha Dog to me, and I figured, I toss my Netflix queue and see what comes of it. And ironically, this one's predominantly known for being one of Justin Timberlake's first movies. And this one, he's kind of, fully shaved, covered in tattoos. So he's kind of like a white thug in a way. The the idea behind this movie is a guy who looks a lot like Ryan Gosling. He does. He's like, I feel like I don't know who he is. He was in The Mechanic recently with Jason Statham. He's kind of he's a drug dealer who ends up owing another drug dealer some money. I should probably say that these are pretty much predominantly white people. So you do have that slight like Aryan Brotherhood feel to certain characters. And so what the other character decides to do, the non-Ryan Gosling sort of character, decides, what I'm going to do? I'm going to kidnap his brother. His brother is kind of bored with his life, for lack of a better term. So essentially, when he gets kidnapped, he's like, this is actually kind of cool. He was kidnapped by Justin Timberlake, and some of those people. And the guy who entirely reminds me of Biff from Back to the Future. And the weird thing is kind of being is, after they kidnap him, the kid's actually pretty cool. So they spend lots of time just kind of hanging out with him. It's one of the most bizarre sort of kidnapping movies. And occasionally joke about, Tony Butter, would you kill him? Well, why would we kill him? We kidnapped him so we could use him to extort money from this other guy. Man, since we asked for a ransom, if we get caught, and he says anything about us, we're looking at pretty much jail for the rest of our lives. And it's a pretty good movie, but it seems like a lot of stuff doesn't actually happen. They seem to go to lots of parties. So it's a kid who's kidnapped who's actually kind of enjoying his kidnapping. I don't know if he gets Stockholm really quick, or if the fact that he really hated his family life. This, of course, is loosely based off of the youngest person ever being on the FBI's most wanted list. And there are bits and pieces that deal with that have Sharon Stone in them, as well as Bruce Willis. Bruce Willis in this one actually does a pretty good job playing the, I guess you can call him the main character's father. Does a pretty good job at it. Playing Hollywood's father, who's also a con, whose father is also a con. So you have like a third generation con. And all in all, it's pretty decent. It kind of falls along the lines of some movies, kind of like Blow and movies like that, where you do have a decent amount of a drug culture in there, and you do have some violence, you do have some nudity. But the majority of it centers around this guy who's kind of like, oh man, I'm kidnapped. Okay, you don't need to gag me. I mean, I'm not going to go anywhere. So they party and play video games with him. It was really bizarre and different to see somebody get kidnapped and then they just kind of hang out with them. But I will say this is now like the second Justin Timberlake movie that I've seen. Alpha Dog and Social Network. He's actually a pretty decent actor, all things considered. So Alpha Dog, it's a pretty solid movie. Don't expect it to be like a lot of crazy things happening. It just does have a very sort of gritty, honest feel to it. And that is Alpha Dog.